Hello, America. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm Kevin Dennison, broadcasting to you live from our studio, Most Wanted Comics in Bloomington, Minnesota. Hey, it's kind of a negative Nelly week for us this week. The Vikings can't seem to find a win in this town. The Twins forgot that you need to hit in the playoffs, and that was kind of a bummer. And you had a bad review for us on the Amazing Spider-Man book that came out this past week. So it's been kind of a negative week as far as just attitude all around. But hey, the good news is that we have the Minnesota Wild to look for. They won their home opener the other night. So
I saw that.
Yeah,
Hope is not lost. Hope is not lost.
Yeah, so we do talk about sports sometimes, but very briefly because we do want to keep it to comics and pop culture, and quite frankly, anything else we want to talk about. So, hey, let's go into some of this negativity here. But before we do that, I got to tell you guys, we do have a fun segment coming up that you're going to see. We did have Larry back in the studio for an interview this week. We're going to continue down our road of show and tell with the icon, Hall of Fame collector, the Wizard. Larry is going to be back with us, and we're going to be talking about some history of comic books and why they were called funny books. So a lot of people don't know that, everyone refers to comic books, they think it's just superheroes. Well, back in the 50s and on, what the soldiers were mailed during wars too, it wasn't just superheroes, it was just funny books, like the old cartoons you grew up with, like Woody Woodpecker, Droopy, all sorts of fun stuff. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. But first, let's get Atomic Tommy's take and review of some books, and then what we have to look forward to next week.
Yeah, all right. So do a little bit of speed running here. There are a few books that came out that was not Amazing Spider-Man that I want to talk about. Superior Spider-Man Returns, #1. Really just a setup book for the Superior Spider-Man #1 coming out next month. Sequels are rarely better than the originals, so we'll have to see how that plays out. Also, Green Lantern #4. I've been loving Green Lantern. It was great to see The Flash. I'm a Flash fan, as you can see, repping the sweatshirt. Love The Flash, so it was awesome to see him show up. Barry Allen and Hal Jordan, great duo. And then there was Amazing Spider-Man. This is trash. This is just bad. Yeah.
Just trash. You're for all the Marvel execs, you can reach Atomic Tommy at P.O. Box 4117.
Please do. I want them to do that. I want to talk to them because this is bad.
I feel like they do need a phone call to say, hey, start writing some good stuff, please.
When the face of Marvel is Spider-Man. And when you can't write a good Spider-Man story, maybe it's time to look inward a little bit at what's going on, because it has been issue 34? Yeah, 35. It's 35 issues of just garbage. I mean, I have given this run every opportunity to do something, to evolve, to tell a good story. And
I mean, the last big hit was when Spider-Boy came out or whatever.
That wasn't even in this. That was a different thing.
Oh, gosh.
So we've been essentially in the same place for 35 issues here. And this, I don't like to spoil anything here, but, this was the big culmination, the finale to the whole Spider-Man Green Goblin thing. And nothing happened. It ended with nothing. He ends up at the end of the story, he's like, oh, I feel guilty. Gotta go be Spider-Man again. He's been that way for 35 issues. Nothing has changed. These writers, man, Zeb Wells, they're just afraid to do anything new with the character. Peter Parker has done nothing this entire run. There are people, you read it everywhere, they're like, man, the greatest enemy to Peter Parker is the writers. And that's true, but that's not the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is that they aren't doing anything with the character. He doesn't do anything.
It kind of reminds me of the ending of spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Ahsoka yet, that's on you. So I'm going to give you a countdown to plug your ears. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the ending of Ahsoka, right? Everybody's feeling the same vibe. They're, hey, we finally got a Star Wars thing. This is cool. Everybody agrees. And then what happens in the last episode? Nothing. It's
right.
It's a big nothing. But he's like, all this build is like, hey, this is great. I can't wait to watch the last episode, see what's going on. Nothing happens. It's right. Like, what the hell just happened here? What did we just watch? It's like, you couldn't have asked for a worse ending. And it's kind of like just a little reference. It's the same way. When is somebody going to have the guts to make something happen in this, in either comic books or shows or whatever.
And the thing about this is, I typically don't like to, when I see a bad writer or a bad artist, I don't like to, call for people's heads in that way. I don't like to call for people to be fired. But Zeb Wells and the editing team, man, they've had every opportunity. It's time to go. It's time to get them out of here. We need somebody new. They keep doing these new number ones. Moon Knight's getting a new number one. Daredevil's got a new number one. All these runs are refreshing, but they're not, the one that needs it isn't getting one. It's like
they figured it out with Incredible Hulk. They said, "Hey, this Hulk run sucks. We're gonna start over." Now it's good right now so far.
Right.
So far.
And it's just we need something. Something needs to change because this is just bad. It's impressive how bad it is.
All right, Marvel, you pissed off Atomic T. Watch out now. You start getting some better stories in there. But hey, you know what? That wasn't the only comic book that came out. So you can go back and talk about Green Lantern. You can talk about kind of take a breath, kind of talk about something that's good.
I had to I had to go reread Green Lantern as a palate cleanser. You know how bad things have to be for a DC comic to be a palate cleanser to a Marvel comic? Do you know how bad things have to get for that?
That's pretty bad, dude.
Pretty bad. Very bad. Apocalyptically bad.
Oh, man.
But, okay, let's talk about things coming out this week. Move away a little bit because...
Yeah.
The blood pressure needs to come down a little bit.
Ow.
I'm a little too overweight to have a blood pressure this high.
Yeah, you can't take a blast of the ticker like that at our weight.
Do that. All right. So coming out this week, the big one, Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. It sounds like fun action, and I'm ready for it. It just
sounds like silliness, and who doesn't like Godzilla?
No,
everybody likes Godzilla. Everybody likes Kong. It doesn't matter. I mean, and now you throw them into the mix. You throw some superheroes into the mix. What else? It's a nice reprieve. Well, I hope it's good.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that it's just entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't need it to be a great story plot. I don't need it to be anything. Nothing fancy. Just entertaining, please. Just make it entertaining.
The art also, looks pretty good. It looks pretty cool. The covers look good. I'm excited for this one. Another book coming out. Jay Garrick, The Flash, #1. I think that's going to be really cool. I'm not the biggest Jay Garrick fan, but I'm a Flash fan, so I'm in for anything that, The Flash. So looking forward to that. Also, Daredevil #2. Daredevil had a great #1. Looking forward to the continuation of that series. That's this week.
All right. Well, cool, man. We got some good takes. We're gonna settle down now. Like I said, we recorded a great interview with Hall of Fame collector Larry. I think you guys are gonna enjoy this segment coming up here. So sit back and watch our interview that we have with Larry. Phenomenal, just wealth of information. It's another fun show and tell. He brought some fun stuff we'll look at, and we'll wrap it up in a second. All right, back with us this week is another segment with Hall of Famer collector Larry the Wizard. Welcome, Larry. How you doing today?
I am doing very fine, thank you.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Thank you for agreeing to come back. We always like talking comics with you. Last time, it was the best show and tell ever for comics. I mean, one of your best show and tells for me. You got to show us the record reprints of some amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. It was incredible what you brought last time. The gems that you brought to show us, and I can't wait to see what you brought for us today. And today we're going to talk about funny books, and kind of a little bit back then is, we all call them comic books all the time, but what kind of brought about funny books? I mean, why do we call them funny books back then? What was the deal?
The funny books was kind of coined by the idea that they were supposed to be fun and they were ludicrous. So they were just funny, compared to spandex where, you're flying off and saving somebody. This one was just for guff-offs and laughs and smiles, and, a lot of the GIs really liked them.
And what kind of titles were there for the funny books? It wasn't all superhero then.
No, it had a wide range back then. A lot of the funny books have gone under. There were Daffy Duck, Disney's, of course, Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge, Bugs Bunny, Fox and Crow, Oswald, Henry Hawk. There was just the Casper, the Ghostly Trio, Little Lulu,
Little Lulu, I remember that title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Richie. There was just a wide range of things back then. The funny books have kind of, I don't know, taken a back seat to the superheroes these days.
Kind of sad, kind of like Saturday morning cartoons. It was a really special deal to wait a week. I mean, that's a lost thing. A lot of the kids do not even get the fact of waiting for a week to see your favorite show to come out. Now they can just stream all the episodes at once. Whereas the same with the books. I mean, that was your entertainment. You had to wait for it to come out and read Lulu or Woody Woodpecker or Daffy Duck or it was.
Well, and the other sad thing is the environment has really changed for comics. You like to have to know a specialty store like yourself. Back in the day, there were turnstiles in restaurants and grocery stores and
Local drugstore. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could find them anywhere. Now it's a very specialized, narrow-focused market offhand.
Yeah, it's really too bad. Let's talk about some of the stuff you brought for us. Let's show people who may not have seen these funny books. I know you brought some with us today. Let's see what you brought us today.
Okay, I brought a new funnies, which hosted Andy Pandy, Woody Woodpecker, Splinter Knockhood, his two nephews. Everybody had a nephew back then. Donald Duck had nephews. Woody Woodpecker had nephews. And then there was also Fox and Crow, which was one of my favorite. It was kind of like a Abbott and Costello. They were friends, but they kind of always played off of each other, and the Crow was always getting the Fox into problems and, doing dastardly deeds towards them and trying to...
What year did those come out?
We're talking, unfortunately, here, I'm aging myself.
Unfortunately.
Mid-50s.
No problem, babe. That's what we got to hear. We got to hear the dates of these. And then, now, was it just one story, or was there multiple stories in there with the different characters?
Usually there's multiple stories.
Oh, you more one episode. So that's cool.
And they sometimes had backup characters also. So, like...
let's dive into some of these.
So, in Fox and Crow here... we had Hound and Hare.
Ooh.
Just little sidebars of unique type things. And then obviously Fox and Crow were the main characters. They'd probably have 2 or 3 short stories. And it was always kind of interesting because you never knew what kind of backup stories you'd have in these offhand. I know, like, the other thing that was really nice back in the days is that there were a lot of giants, and I brought some giants here.
Cool.
And the thing is, for 25 cents, you got 96 pages.
96 pages for a quarter.
Yep. And, I mean, like this one here had Chilly Willy in it. It had Knothead and Splinter, which were Woody's nephews. It had Charlie Chicken. It had Homer Pigeon. It had a wide range of characters. So, you got it for the main character, Woody Woodpecker. You'd see it on the stand, and you'd go, oh, I got to get that. But then you'd get inside, and you'd have all these other weird characters and stories that you could pick up on. And the thing that was nice is back then, there were giants all the time.
Oh, wow.
They had, like, summertime ones, school is out, back to school, picnic time. And what was nice about them, like I had mentioned, you'd get a variety of different characters and stories, and it was just fun to go through them. And they also, I'll have to see if this one has any. Back then, comics were thought of as tossaways, so they had all kinds of little things in there where you could play games. Sometimes they had cutouts where you take a sewing spool, you cut out the front and the back, and the sewing spool becomes his body, and you've got yourself a dog.
And it's Droopy. I love Droopy watching the rerun cartoons.
Yes,
I love
Droopy was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then again, that was all 50s and 60s here?
Basically the 50s. Early 60s had some, but the early 60s was the advent of the Long John crew.
Okay.
So DC, showcased some in their Premier magazine, and they kind of took off, and all of a sudden we saw Green Lantern, and we saw Hawkman, and we saw Justice League.
Showcase where the Flash came in, and those were, Then we get to the dawn of the superheroes. But yeah, Funny Books is a lost trend and it's an important piece of history. Because, these two, especially during the Korean War, and these were sent over to the soldiers, too.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes. And even in Vietnam. The other thing is they used to have all kinds of specialty ones. Like you had one for Halloween, you had one for Christmas, you had one for Thanksgiving. And the themes revolved around it. And it was just a lot of fun. Like I said, didn't even need a special occasion like Halloween or whatever. You'd have winter fun or summer fun.
There you go. You're seasonal.
Yeah. And of course, Disney, when they opened their Disneyland in California, wanted to promote their theme park. And not only did they mention it on the Mickey Mouse Club, they also issued a series of comics that dealt with all of the parks, Frontierland, Fantasyland.
Good advertising for them.
Yes. So there was all kinds of weird, unique things going on.
So I have to say, Larry, now nostalgic-wise, now your favorite Funny Books, were they all, do you think, was it more Disney? Was that your favorite set of Funny Books with Scrooge? And
Not necessarily. Because there was a lot of good ones back in the late 50s. Obviously, the primos were Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck and Walt Disney Comics and Stories. But the thing is, being where I was in the hinterlands of North Dakota, there's no guarantee you were going to get them issue to issue. So, you kind of picked up what you could find and enjoyed it as such.
That's awesome. Larry, once again, you set the bar. The history of these comics is incredible, and I learn from you every time I talk to you. I think the audience learns from you, and I tell you, folks, when you come into Most Wanted Comics and you see Larry the Wizard, don't hesitate to talk to him and ask him a question. He is a world of knowledge of comics, and especially in the older books. And if you didn't know about the Funny Books, we got a chance to talk about them today. Come into our store, look them up. We have some in stock at the store at Most Wanted Comics, and check them out.
They've got a wonderful collection.
Oh, thank you, Wizard.
You'll find some things you never expected.
That's right. And we're always turning stuff over to the store, so come in. You never know. And the next time, Larry, when you come in, we're going to talk about one of your wheelhouses. And then we're going to talk about sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
So that'll be in a couple weeks from now. We're gonna draw because we're gonna be nearing Halloween. So we're gonna talk about we're going to talk about some sci-fi and some horror comics, which is in the wheelhouse. I know you like to talk about that. So in a couple weeks, Larry, we'll see you again. Thanks for coming back and joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that segment with Larry. I tell you what, you learned so much from the guy. The guy is a wealth of knowledge. And again, he's going to come back. We're going to do our Halloween edition with him. We're going to talk about sci-fi and horror books with Larry. And then I don't know. Are you going to get in costume for that when we do that?
It could happen. You never know.
All right. So we'll look forward to next week when we recap Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. Hopefully the Vikings will actually get a win against the Bears that we can talk about. And then hopefully the Wild keep winning. And we can't wait to see you guys next week, everybody.